Like cooking, everything has a recipe.
A set of instructions to follow in order to gain a certain result.
Music is no different.
Be it ingredients for a dish, a set list for an amazing show,
Or a release strategy for a successful launch.
these are all recipes.
Hi, we're your hosts, Sean.
And I'm Brandon.
Come and join us in our kitchen as we go through the Music Maker's Cookbook.
Let's get cooking.
Welcome to the Music Makers Podcast, the podcast where we help independent artists cook up recipes for success in the music industry. I'm Sean.
I'm Brandon.
And today we're going to skip the appetizer and jump right into a story. The story of a baker. The baker who wanted to open up a cake shop.
Okay.
And have the perfect cake. So what he did was he went and tasted all of his favorite cakes. He remembers all the beautiful cakes his grandparents made, his mom made from the local shops, tried all of them, took all the notes on, like, I like how this one tastes, the mouthfeel of this, the way this works, the layers of this one. This is what the perfect cake is going to be. And then he goes out and he grabs all the ingredients that he thinks are going to make the perfect cake. And he starts putting them together and mixing them by hand. Puts them all in a bowl, whipping them up, getting them all together. And then he tastes the batter. And it's missing something. It's not quite where he wants it.
Yeah.
So he goes to the store and he tries, like, I'll try a little bit of salt, try a little bit of jam. I like this one has this jam filling, like this one has a little bit of that kind of flavor to it. So he starts throwing extra ingredients in and tastes it. Well, now it doesn't taste as sweet anymore. So I'm gonna put a little bit more sugar in. Well, now it's a little too sweet. I'm gonna get some acidity and put some like lemon in it. Okay, well now the taste is good, but I put in all these extracts and whatnot. So now it's pretty runny. I'm gonna put more flour in. Well, now it's really dense. So I'm gonna change this up. And he keeps throwing things in and trying it and tasting it and trying it and tasting it. And eventually, after like weeks and weeks of doing this, years and years of doing this, he has this really awesome tasting cake batter. He's like, I've got it. I've done it. Time to open the shop. I have the recipe. I know everything I put into it. I've been working on this for so long. I open my shop. He puts it out there. He says, markets it, grand opening. I've got the best tasting cake you will ever have. It will change the world. He makes the batter. He makes a whole bunch of it. He's ready for the shop to open. He takes it. He puts it in the oven for the first time.
Wow.
And it cooks. And it's done. And it looks nothing like he expected. And he tastes it. And it tastes nothing like the batter does. And everyone who comes and eats the cake is like, this is very good cake. This is not the world's best cake. This is not what I expected it to be. And he's like, I don't get it. I don't understand. I've been working on this batter for years. I've tasted it. I've been doing it back and forth. It's phenomenal. Well, then his clients are like, well, did you ever taste the cake? Did you ever actually bake it? Did you ever put it to completion and look at it as a whole? Or did you keep diving into it before the process was complete? Well, he never baked it. And he's like, well, crap, now I got this store. Now I have to bake it. And other people are trying it. And it's not getting across. And I don't want to fail. So he thinks, okay, well, maybe I've worked out this process. I know how to do things again and again, try things, test things. Maybe to get a great batter, maybe I can do the same with the cake. Okay, what if I try different mixing methods? I mix by hand or I mix with a mixer. Okay, the mixer tastes more smooth, more airy. I'm gonna go with a mixer now. After it's baked, the batter is more airy. It doesn't taste as good as a batter, but the cake is a lot more textural.
Yeah.
Okay, I tried this in the recipe, this ingredient, and when I bake it, it's a little it comes out a lot stronger than it does in the dough. So I'm gonna cut back on that. Okay, now the cake tastes a lot more flavorful. He does the same process. And every time he makes the full cake, he bakes it. He waits for it to be complete. He puts it out there as a finished product. And then he tastes it with everything completed. And he has customers come in and they're excited. They want to try it. They see, hey, he's got this journey going on. And he actually twists it to a promotional thing. Like, come to our cake shop. It's the experiment to find the world's best cake. We have new cakes every week. Be part of it. And he has this big thing people are interested in following, invested in it. And eventually he does it. He gets the perfect tasting cake that everyone in the town is like, this is it. We agree. This is the best tasting cake for us. And he feels so excited. He's so happy that he did it. He's got the best tasting cake. And now that he's got the cake tasting great, he's like, I'll move on to frosting next.
Oh, no.
I'll move on to filling next.
I just assumed that was already a part of the journey.
No, he's just making the cake. The journey is not done. Time to make it unique. Time to make different flavors using this cake base. Time to try different designs on it. Try if I can stack it, add layers. all these kinds of things. It doesn't end with the perfect cake. And now he's so full of life. He knows the process. He knows how to do it. And he's so excited about how many different ways this cake recipe can be incorporated into different things, but still retain that amazing, perfect cake. And the journey continues, and he keeps going and trying new cakes and is just having so much fun with it. The reason I bring this up is because we're Music Maker's Cookbook and we talk about food.
Yes.
And today we're talking about letting your music go.
Yeah.
Getting it out there. Your music is like this cake. I've worked with dozens of artists who have worked on songs for years, even decades, and they've never released it. And they've been throwing things out, trying new things. Try this guitar, try that guitar, redo the drums, redo the vocals, try this effect, put these vocal harmonies on. But the thing is, what they don't realize is they're not making a perfect song. They're making the perfect cake mix. They're making the perfect batter. We're going to talk today about what exactly the song process is.
Yeah.
The full process of it. Not just creating the song, but everything that music consists of. And it's not just the music. It's about a lot more than that. And the full process of learning what makes your music great and refining it cannot just happen on your own. Can't happen in your bedroom. Can't happen in just the studio. It's a long process, and eventually you need to let it go. You need to get it out there to complete that process, to get the feedback, to bake your cake, to see, okay, this is what it really is.
Yeah.
Not the dough, not the cake batter, the cake. Not the mix, not the master, the song.
Yeah.
So that's the story. That's how we're
great.
jumping into it.
And like,
today.
I've thought about nothing else besides seeing how we could monetize how like the cake baking process, where he's like, this is the world's best cake. Come try it. We're on the journey together. I think subscription based would be kind of cool for that, you know, and, you know, maybe we have something going here.
Yeah.
That might be kind of fun.
We're going to make cakes now. We're creating this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to make cakes now. So
I brought that up because as a parallel to your music, you can put that process.
Oh, for sure.
As of him baking the perfect cake to how do you market the creation, the process, the evolution of your music. And it's the evolution that can draw people in. Even if you don't necessarily think the music, the song is perfect yet. The process you can pull
journey.
people in with. Exactly. You can still create something that's exciting, and you can get paid and make a living with something, even as you go through the process of making it exactly how you want it to.
Absolutely.
So as we jump into this episode, as I mentioned, I worked with dozens of musicians who have worked on their songs for years or even decades, have really high expectations for their music, and they just sit on it and try things and sit on it and try things and sit on it and try things. And I've seen and worked on a lot of great songs that really deserve the light of day, that could be great. They are good as they are, potentially. Or maybe they needed, or because a song can be good but not hit who you want to speak to, or get a following the way you want it to, and that's part of the whole process of what a song is. So before we kind of jump into, I've been talking this whole front half of the episode, but before we kind of dive in more to about letting your song go, going through the full process, what time it is to let it go, why you might not be letting it go and putting it out there, and how to combat that, I'm going to start off with kind of what the whole process of creating a song is. So it's kind of want to jump back and forth on the bullet points on this.
Yeah, for sure. So first you start with going to a website, and it's an AI website, and you type in what you want, and then it'll spit it out for you, and then you're done. No, but in all seriousness, so the song process, there's a lot to it.
I was not expecting that.
It's coming.
The deadpan delivery.
It's coming, man.
Go to ChatGPT and say,
That's
write
right.
me a hit.
That's right. Write me a hit song, and
damn.
then you have a hit song. So, and that's it for the Music Maker's Cook. No, I'm just kidding. The first thing in the song process is the creation and composing of a song. And like we could even break these down into subcategories, but just as a general overview, this is a time when you grab your guitar and you put lyrics to it, to a chord progression, or you grab your piano and you put lyrics to a chord progression, or you have a melody and then you put it to a chord progression. And then, yeah, that's basically what you do, right? You obviously have influences from there, like previous experiences, you living your life, and then that kind of cultivates in there, and you kind of cultivate your heroes and the people that you like listening to into that song, and then that's kind of how you get started with the song.
This is the part that all artists are very familiar with. You pull from your own inspirations, the songs you know how to play. You pull from the covers that you learned when just starting an instrument. You pull from the riffs that you've noodled around with.
Pull from other people
and start putting together an idea like, oh, that sounds good. What if I do this next? Oh, that sounds good. What if I do that next? It's a really exciting part of the process where you're creating something that's never existed from thin air. And as I said, it's a part that pretty much every musician is familiar with to some degree.
Absolutely. Yep. And honestly, it's probably one of the most fun parts because you're birthing something out of nothing, right? Which is really cool. It can also be one of the most frustrating parts too. So, I mean, everything's frustrating in its own right? But this is, for me personally, I have
Are
a
you
tough
saying this
time,
podcast is a little bit of frustrating for you?
It's just me. That's
you said everything's frustrating.
It's just me. That's the frustrating.
Do I frustrate you, Brandon?
Why are you putting this on you?
Are you frustrated right now?
It's just me that frustrates myself. Do you hear how I talk? Go back and listen to last episode 18. I rambled on for about 15 minutes, and Sean sat here like, "Yep, when is this gonna be over, man?"
No, it was good. I was totally listening to the whole thing.
I was totally cognizant of how long I was talking for. It was fucking me up.
It was fine. Just to go back and listen. That was a good episode.
Yes, it was a good episode. But yeah, so
it's the fun part,
the birthing of the song, right?
Yeah.
Without going into too much detail, we'll just move on to the next one. Do you want to explain the next one? Do you want me to?
So after you have the song done, whether you compose it on your own singer-songwriter style, or you got other people in to collaborate on it, a full band, or
go
just
to a writer's round.
get people featured on it, whatever it is. All right, we've got the song, we've rehearsed it, we're ready to move on to recording, mixing, and mastering.
Dude, I could talk about this stage all day because
it's our job.
Yeah, it's our job, and this is like a stage that is the catch-all for everything wrong with a song, right? And usually that falls on mixing, right? Like everyone's like, oh, the mix is bad. But really, it's either like the production, or it's the songwriting, or it's the editing,
or the composition,
or the composition, or the way that it was recorded, or whatever the case may be, right? So that's one crux of the matter that I wanted to put out there.
This is a rant that we can go on and on, but we are going to not today. Yep. But it is an important part because it is how the song is put forth.
Yeah.
It is taking it and putting it onto a medium that can be shared, whether it be digital or analog, streaming, physical, however it is, you are taking it, a performance, you are capturing it, refining it, arranging it. If you want to incorporate some of the composition process into the recording and mixing process, they can bleed a little bit.
Yep.
Sometimes you record your ideas when you're composing, so you can layer and play on top of it.
Yep.
So they blend in together, but mixing and mastering is the solidifying of the song as a piece of audio, as the art that you are then sharing.
Absolutely.
And this is where most people think of the song process as ending.
A lot of the time. Yep. And that's a big mistake.
Yep. I've got the song. Here's the song.
Yep.
The song is done.
We're done.
I have the master. I can put it out. Well, not even that. I have the song done. I have the song.
Yep.
I make this song for me. The song is done.
Well, then you put it out, right?
Not everyone does. Because maybe you listen to it 2 weeks from now and you're like, oh man, I kind of wish the vocal was a little bit different.
Yeah.
Even though I loved it 2 weeks ago, I said it sounded but phenomenal. And like a month later, you listen to it again and you're like, you know what, the bass player, I could have done that a little bit tighter. Maybe I should go back in and re-record it.
It's usually always a bassist, right?
Usually always the bassist, because basics are lame, says the bassist. But a lot of people think like that's where the thing mixed. I mean, I worked with people before where it's like, oh, I'm just making this for me.
Right.
And that's
valid.
That's a valid thing. But this is the Music Maker's Cookbook. We help independent artists cook up recipes for success to make a living in the music industry.
You're damn right we do.
Yeah, you cannot cook up recipes for success to make a living in the music industry unless you release the song.
I'm Sean Wires and I approve this message.
Yes, said Brandon's voice. So now it's time to release it? No. Not,
you have to promote it first.
Yeah, not quite actually.
Yeah, so you start promotion before you release it. Imagine that.
What?
Really cool. So you don't just put it out and then hope that, a lot of people just flock to it, because that's like not possible these days, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we have an old episode on episode 4 Spice up your song releases with these strategies where we talk about different release strategies and ways to promote it before the song is actually out, the whole kind of build up to how much time you should put in advance and whatnot.
Absolutely.
So if you want to learn more about promotion, we're not going to dive in too deep today, but check out episode 4. But yeah, that is the next step to completing the song.
And this is often the step that everything falls apart right here, because a lot of people, they don't either like promoting. I don't like promoting myself, but it's a necessary evil if you look at it like that.
I like it.
See, this is why we do the podcast, because we balance each other out.
It can be fun.
You know what I'm saying?
By the way, going back to the analogy, this is where you are just putting a song in the oven.
That's right.
You'd think, oh, the song mixing, mastering, the song's done. That's the baking part. No. Mixing, mastering is you've completed the best tasting batter. The batter is done.
That's right.
Now we're putting it in the oven.
That's right.
So this is baking it. This is putting it up to temp.
Yep. And like I said, this is also the step right here that it generally falls apart with a lot of people, just because like people are sometimes they don't want to put themselves out there. Sometimes they put themselves out there too much, and there's like almost like a negative feedback loop there too. So this is like the first crumbling step. We were talking about blue cheese before the episode started, so this is the first crumbly. No, this is the first part of it. So then, where does that take us after that? Then,
well, actually, before we jump on from that, this is the point where other factors can kind of be sprinkled in. From here on forward, there's a lot of things that people don't necessarily do when it can be very important to take the extra steps to do these things. And one of the main reasons why is a fear of, I don't really want to promote it. What if I put it out there and people don't want to see it and they don't like me because I always promote my own music or whatnot, or something that is literally going to be now a through line throughout the rest of this episode. And that is something called imposter syndrome.
It's a bad one.
Yes. Imposter syndrome is, as you wrote, I'm stealing this from you, comparing yourself to others, either locally or nationally, and feeling inadequate in comparison. Like, I don't deserve this kind of recognition comparative to all these other people who are doing what I'm trying to do.
What makes me able to do this? What makes me special?
Yeah. I shouldn't be doing this. I don't belong here.
I don't have the training to do this.
Exactly.
I was not chosen to do this, right? Things of that nature.
Yeah. And that can creep up in promoting your music because, like, well, why should I promote it? There's so much music out there.
Yeah.
There's 40 to 60,000 songs released on Spotify every day. What makes my song any different?
Right.
80% of artists on Spotify have less than 50 monthly listeners. Why should I have any more than that? Am I better than this? I don't believe I am. It can really be like, well, why promote it if the numbers are so low and there's so many great artists out there that aren't doing it? What makes me any different? What makes me special?
This is like hitting the lottery, right?
Yeah. Why is it even worth it?
Yep.
And that can be a mindset that can really hold you back and stop you from taking necessary actions.
And honestly, that can kill a whole career very quickly.
Even before it starts, it can kill a career.
Yep. And then like the worst part about it is that sometimes other people feed into this for you, right? Is like, you have people that doubt you, like, oh, music's not a career. Music's not a real job. I know a lot of people resonate with that one that I've talked to. I've heard it myself.
Unfortunately, that lives in the family sometimes too.
Yeah. And that can really creep up. And if your support group if the people around you aren't being a good supporting group, then that can really trickle in and really start anything before something even happens. So imposter syndrome is a big one. And like, we could always I think we will go into a deeper episode with this. But this is just like the general overview of imposter syndrome, and that imposter syndrome is real. So if you feel like you have imposter syndrome, then like there is a valid term to put something to it, right?
The term of what you're feeling now.
Exactly. And there are a lot of resources that actually help you overcome imposter syndrome online too. So definitely just do an imposter syndrome Google search. And if you're struggling with that, you can find resources to help with that.
Yeah. So it can weave its way into promotion, like I said. It can weave its way in a little bit earlier in creation and mixing and mastering, because like, why put in all this time? I think it's cool, but is it really? Has it been done before? All that stuff. But it goes into release, actually putting the song out there now. You promoted it, time to release it, put it in front of people that you've hyped up for it with your promotion so that they can listen to it. Why should I release it? There's so much out there. Is it really deserving of it? What if they're not happy with it? I've got so many people interested in or hyped for my song now, and I'm feeling a little bit nervous. What if they don't like it? All that kind of stuff.
Or what if I didn't promote it right? Or what if I don't have like the best release strategy ever? Yeah. What if I have one more revision I just need to get done? Just that last thing, you know?
Maybe I should go back and change one more thing before I actually
I think the engineer changed something else when he sent it back to me, and now I got to go change this. Typically, that doesn't happen.
What if I push it back another week, or then I push back another month, or what if I delay the release?
This person released a song today. Drake just released a song today. Taylor Swift just released a song today. So like maybe I should push it back so I don't have to compete with them.
Yep, that's another thing how imposter syndrome can actually hinder you with the release of it, which is, I said, the fourth step. Beyond that, once you now release it, the next process in creating a song is...
Oh, you're teeing it up for me?
I'm teeing up for you.
Reviewing how it was received by people. This one is really interesting because like you have to be careful with who you take this feedback from, but generally all feedback is pretty decent. But like, for example, and the reason why I'm kind of teeing it up like this is because there's like that small caveat before we continue on with this guy. Let's say you send it to your mom, right? And you send it to somebody who you know loves alternative rock. You're going to get, oh, this sounds great, sweetie, but it's a little loud, or this hurts my ears, or the vocal wasn't loud enough. That's my favorite one.
When is like the vocal loud enough? That's the big thing, especially for the singer. But normally it's like if it's family or whatnot, unless there's a certain kind of relationship, they're only going to hear, oh, it sounds great. This sounds perfect. Yeah. I was talking to my buddy.
It's like false validation.
Yeah. I'm talking to him, one of my buddies, Elliot, who is recording this great vocalist. This guy's making his first album.
Nice.
And for whatever, he's working on one of the musicians on the project's girlfriend was in the studio, and they're listening back to the rough demos and whatnot. And she's like, this sounds phenomenal. This is perfect. This can be on the radio right now. This can be cut to go.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, believe in the process. This is the rough mix. It's not perfect. It's not radio ready.
Yep.
You're overhyping it. You're getting too excited. It's about trust in the process. So even like a lot of positivity can give you false ideas or can be a negative in the long run.
Yeah, it's like two extremities, right?
Yeah.
You can either be on the far side of really negative, far side of really positive, and those both have inherent bias to them, and then will make you kind of like it kind of scatters your perception of the feedback that you get. So you have to always make sure that you're filtering it through somehow, right? And make sure that you have a good support group around you that will tell you the truth and what they think.
So that's why it's important to know what kind of fan you are looking for. Most people make music for their past selves.
Yep.
Because like, I wish I had this, or when I was younger, if it was like about emotional stuff or personal issues or personal strengths, or they'll say like, this is the stuff I really want to jam to that I personally like. So that's what I'm making this music for. So if you're trying to define what kind of fan you're looking for, you can start oftentimes by looking at your past self, where you were when you were inspired to make this kind of music, and then look and be like, hey, are the people who I want to be listening to this the ones listening to it?
Right.
And take the feedback from those people, because that's who the song is for. If the song is for, like, man, I'm 22 years old. I wrote this song kind of like to be you can get through this, to myself when I was like 17 and going through a really hard breakup at the time. You don't want to listen to your 40-year-old uncle.
Right. Right.
No, you want to listen to people in that demographic and make sure it gets in front of those people. That's where promotion comes from.
Yep.
Because that's the valuable feedback you want to get, because that's who the music is for.
Yep.
That's a great way to kind of quickly gauge, okay, what's good, what's bad feedback. Is it from the people who I want the song to speak to? And if people who you want the song to speak to aren't giving you feedback, aren't even hearing it, then there's a problem with your promotion, or you're wrong and that's not who the song is actually speaking to. So pay attention to, okay, well, I'm not getting a response from people I thought I would. Who am I getting a response from?
Yeah.
Am I okay getting a response from these people? And review that. But as you see, this is all part of the process of what is the song. Now the song is on its final part of being baked. It is starting to become the actual cake.
Yum.
Yeah. Exactly. So
yummy.
So I'm flustered now. So
I'm sorry.
Is the cake? Do the people I want to like the cake like the cake?
Yeah.
Is it actually tasting the way I want it to, so that it attracts the right people who do like the taste of this cake? What actually is it? Now that it's out there, are people seeing it the same way it was intended? Or is it something entirely? Because when you bake it, it can become something completely different than intended. Because you know in your mind who the song is for, the whole journey of the song, what it's all about. You have the cake in your head. But when it's out there, it can actually be something very different. than what the song is intended to be.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that happens all the time. There's songs where people are like, oh man, I love this song. It's so happy. It's my jam. I listen to it in the car all the time. Makes me feel great. So excited, energized for the day. And then the singer, if you look up the lyrics and talk to the singer, he's like, yeah, this is about my childhood friend getting bullied.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or this is so songs about a stalker.
Yeah.
And like, oh man, it makes me feel so like excited and energized. And like, there's a lot of 80s pop songs about stalkers and
Oh, for sure.
and like rape and weird shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is an explicit podcast episode now.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So now I can say whatever I want.
Exactly. Don't. But there's a lot of popular songs from the 80s that are about really weird things
Yeah.
that the fans take it completely differently.
Right. Right.
And maybe the artist understood that, hey, it's about the subject matter, but it's going to be received this way. Maybe they didn't. And it turned into something they didn't expect it to be. But that's what kind of completes the song. Now the song is baked. It is ready. You can see what it actually is, not what you think it is going to be. This is what the song is.
Yep.
Do I like the song? Do I like how it tastes? Do I want to bake this again? Or do I want to add a little more flour next time?
And that's where we end up right now.
Exactly. Do I want to add a little bit? Do I want to change the frosting flavor? How do I want to make it different so that it's more aligned with the vision in my head so that people see it the same way I do? Or I can change my head to better represent how do I recreate what I just did to get the result that I'm seeing now. And that's where you implement what you've learned on the next song.
Yep.
And this process loops.
Absolutely.
You bake another cake and you learn from the past one. Now that you see it as it's actually baked, you're not tasting the batter.
Yep.
You see the cake and you work on the next one.
This is one of the best things illustrated by the book Lean Startup by Eric Ries. I know I mentioned it before, but he has this thing in there called the build, measure, learn loop. This is exactly the process that it goes through for product refinement. And you keep going until either you stop doing it or you stop selling the product or whatever the case may be, but you are in continuous refinement from feedback from other people. So
when you said either you stop, my brain was like, stop. In the name of love. I love the Supremes, man. They're such a good band.
Supremes are a great band.
They're such a good band. It's my favorite vinyl that I own. I play it all the time.
Really?
Yeah. By all the time, I mean like once every quarter.
Does that give you motivation?
It does.
Go listen to episode 18.
Yeah. It's funny though, because I don't make that kind of music at all.
Really?
But yeah, just to review the whole song process, we just went over. It is, starts off with composing the song. You are building it and putting all the pieces together. Then recording, mixing, and mastering. Now you're taking it and turning it into a product that you can then promote so that people become aware of it. Next step, release it so people can listen to it. They're excited and now the people are engaged. Then review it, see how it's been received, who is listening to it, did the promotion work, was the release effective, are people happy with how it sounds, does it, like, how are they taking it, is it how I intended or not, and then you start the whole process again.
Yep.
That is the song process. It does not stop at mastering, it does not stop when you have a file, it stops when you begin the next song. And releasing the song is a huge part of it.
Yes.
So we're going to have an episode in the future that really dives into something called the hero's journey later. But I'm just going to briefly kind of go over, because there's a lot of parallels to what a lot of tasks that people go through throughout life to the hero's journey. The hero's journey is, we're all familiar with it, Luke Skywalker from Star Wars, Harry Potter from Harry Potter, any other kind of...
Katniss Everdeen,
Hunger
Hunger Games.
Yep. Any teenage thriller novel.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what it is you have your main character who has a task in front of them. They have a guide that then leads them through the process towards the end. They achieve their main goal. Happy ever after. Book's done. Well, that's where the hero's journey for stories ends. And your path to creating your music and getting out there and becoming your artist is similar to the artist journey. But now that you've completed it, you found the task, you found the song, you're done with the song. Now you got to bring it back. You got to take the journey back and you got to share it to the people. That's the part of the hero's journey that's not shown in media. But there is a return journey. And if you have the solution, you solved the problem. why wouldn't you want to share it with the people
Right.
so that they can also solve the problem? They can also see the solution and tell them about it, promote it, show them about it, show the benefits of it. So we'll dive into it, as I said, more later, but just this kind of parallels that. So if you want to do more research on your own, you can look into that.
Yep.
So all this being said, let's kind of dive once again back more into imposter syndrome, because I worked with artists who, even after the song is done and produced, they never release it, or they change their mind on it being done, and they want to go back in and edit and fix and change.
Yeah.
And as we said, a big reason that this happens often is that imposter syndrome of it not being good enough, or something called demoitis, which is the idea of, if you record a rough demo, you listen to it so often that becomes how it's supposed to sound in your mind. So when you see a final mix or master, it doesn't sound exactly like the demo, and now it doesn't match what's in your head, be it for better or for worse.
Yeah.
But
I want to add a third one onto that too.
Oh, go for it.
Is also trying to be a perfectionist, because I feel like that might be a branch of imposter syndrome at some point, right? They're interrelated. But yeah, being a perfectionist too, if you're a self-proclaimed one, generally you're going to have a really hard time getting out of your head and being okay with releasing something that is good enough at the time, right? Than opposed to waiting for it to ever be perfect. Newsflash, it'll never be perfect, right? What's the quote? Do you have it written down here? I don't think you do, but if you do, then I apologize and I'm jumping ahead. But music is never finished; it's only surrendered. Or good art is never finished; it's only surrendered, or something like that. And that's true, right? Because like, if you're a good artist, like you could keep going and going and going forever, right? Like, the piece is never actually finished. It's just when you say it's finished, is it finished, right? And sometimes when we say it's finished, it's just surrendered, right? Because we know that it's either a good place to stop, or you can't think of doing anything else at the time, or you're just so fucking tired of the damn thing that you want to be done with it. So I want to throw that perfectionism in there too. Yeah.
And then going on top of that, there's a couple other quotes that we're going to kind of mention that try to think about if you have any second hesitations on releasing your music. These are kind of some sayings and things to think about. One is, as you said, good art is never completed, it's surrendered. And then on top of that, another saying is, at a certain point of work, there's an exponential curve on quality.
Yeah.
The more time you put into it, the less good it gets, the less better it gets. And at a certain point, you hit a mark where it's not getting better, it's just getting different. So you have to ask yourself, okay, is what I'm about to do really making the song better, or is it making it different?
Yep.
And if you're unsure whether it's actually better or not, odds are it is just different. And that's when you know, okay, I need to release the song because I'm not adding to it. I'm just changing it. And there's a huge difference between adding something, making it grow, versus changing it, making it different.
Yep. And if you're interested in learning more about the concept behind this, you can look up diminishing marginal returns, because that's what this basically is that you can allocate as many resources to something as you want, but there is a point of that return that you're getting where you actually start to overspend and over allocate resources to a specific task, which means that you are not being more efficient. You're just simply wasting your efficiency and your resources at that time, because you're not gaining anything else from that, right? So that is a concept in ecom that is really, really important to know about, and that you can actually apply to a lot of certain everyday tasks. And this is one of those points, right? Is that you can keep going with it and refining it, but after a certain point, you're allocating all this resource to do what? And you're not getting a return on it. So it doesn't really make sense. So if you want to look up more on that, those are called diminishing marginal returns.
Very good. Yeah, very good.
Can you tell that I did
exactly what it is?
Can you tell that I helped with econ homework last night?
I can tell.
Yeah.
But you brought up that aspect before.
Yes.
So we're kind of talking about some topics that we've applied to other situations. It's kind of adding weight to the fact that these are kind of universal, or can be applied to multiple different resources. Or multiple different situations on resources. Another quote, or another thing to think about when you get to a point of, should I release this or not, is just remember that when a song is presented to a listener, when a fan hears it for the first time, they hear the song as completed. They hear the song as done. They hear it and think, this is what it's supposed to be. Because they're not in your head. They're not thinking, oh, maybe he should have added this piano riff, or oh, maybe they should have added that, this vocal change, or oh, maybe you should have gone up instead of down in the melody. If they are, they're a musician.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Most people listen to music different than musicians do. And even then, it's not a critique. It's them applying their influences on it, because they don't know what's in your head. They're not thinking, oh man, he should have done that. They're thinking, oh, it would have been cool. I would like to do this. And then they could take it as an influence for their music. But just when someone hears a song for the first time, that is how the song is.
Yep.
It just straight up, that's what it
That's what it is.
Yeah. Think about every single song that you've ever heard that has inspired you. I can practically guarantee that almost every single artist has things about that song that they would like to change.
Oh, yeah.
If they could go back and do it again, go back, tackle their old work. I mean, there's a reason. There's a lot of reasons, but I mean, this is one reason why when you go to a live show and they perform a song that you're a big fan of, it's not the same as the album. Because they keep changing it. They're still doing things to it. They're adding a different solo, or they're doing more loops. Yeah. Because they don't want to necessarily completely let it go. Every artist is like this. But when someone hears something for the first time, including you, all the songs, your favorite songs, the perfect songs are not perfect in the eyes of the creator. Most likely. So keep that in mind with your music too. It's okay to let it go. It's okay that maybe it's not exactly how you have it in your mind, because done is better than perfect. Perfect does not exist.
That's right.
And when someone hears it, it is what it is.
Yeah.
There are no flaws.
Yeah.
Because it is a complete package.
Yep.
It's not an idea.
And that's why we continue making music, right? Is because like you can't fit every idea into one song.
No.
So we just go back and we make a new song, right? And we try to incorporate ideas we haven't incorporated before. Something else that you can do too, if we're trying to clear up a little bit of the imposter syndrome or perfectionism at this point, something else that you can kind of go back and do is just make a reprise of that same song. So someone that I work with, Heather McCorkle, she has a song called Hurting You. And it came out, I think she released it as a single, and it's very like upbeat pop, right? And then she came back, I don't know, probably 2 months later after that, and we did a reprise of it, and it's cinematic and sad as fuck. And there's it's like a dichotomy between the two. It's like almost you wouldn't even recognize the two, right? And even the lyrics are a little bit different on the newer one, but like, there's no way we could have incorporated that within one song. No. So just go back and do an alternative version later if you want to. There's no harm in that. And you know what? People might be like, that's cool as fuck. That gives you an extra reason to promote too. You can point back to that song and be like, hey, here's this one. That's kind of cool. And then it gives you more promotion along the way too. Like, oh, vote on which one you want to hear at the show. Right. But like, so like, it's just, there's extra opportunities in there too. It just takes a little bit more legwork, but that's just one small caveat, or not even caveat, but one small thing you can do to help alleviate that if you're struggling with that at all.
Well, also gives you more, if you do something like that, it gives you more options of where you can then send the song as well. I mean, a big example of kind of doing other versions, remixes, covers of different songs, reproducing it is on TV, film, all the time. They'll take a popular song of an era and adjust it and change it and recompose it to kind of mean something different in the context of the show.
I mean, how many times has Running Up That Hill been redone, right?
I was going to bring up Stranger Things, how
that
they do
works
so
too.
many different versions of pop songs from
that works too.
From the 80s, or songs from the 80s. Nothing says you can't do that yourself. You can take a song that changes its meaning, because like maybe it was great when you released it and that's how you felt. But then as you grow older, the words mean something completely different to you now and you want to retackle it. Nothing's saying you can't retackle it.
I think this is a good example with Tears for Fears and what's that song called? I don't want to get DCMA'd by singing it, but they had that song. Maybe it wasn't Tears for Fears. It could be. This is a really bad example, but it's called Mad World. Yeah. The original was very poppy, very upbeat, and then the cover is very sad, and like it is so. And you know what? I love the sad version a little bit more than the popular version. I did hear the sad version first, to be fair, so I might be a little biased, but it's just cool stuff like that you can do and kind of like reprise and reuse these ideas and put something different towards them.
I mean, that's what a lot of covers are. If you think about like "Hurt" by Johnny Cash, doesn't sound like the original.
Oh my God!
Or "Valerie" by Amy Winehouse is so different from the original.
Absolutely,
the original is like a pop rock kind of deal, and she just completely makes it her own and different. Nothing says you can't do that with your own music. If the story behind it changes, or even if you just want to try a different thing with it.
Yeah,
and you have options to say, hey, if you want to hear a different version of the song, make a donation on Bandcamp or follow my Patreon, and you'll hear different versions of my music or whatnot. There's ways to monetize it separately so that people who are really big fans of you are like, oh man, you like that song? Have you heard this version of that song? It makes it a talking point amongst your fan base. So there's a lot of things you can do to be creative with it if you're unhappy or want to try new things within your music.
Absolutely.
You have to get it out there in the first place to then look back and actually accurately reflect on it as a whole. What is this song? How does it exist? Because it's not just music. A song is so much around it. It's the culture, it's the fan base, it's the album art, it's the promotion, it's the what it stands for, it's the emotion behind it. So you can't see all of that unless you complete the process.
Exactly.
So let your music go. It's time to let go. Put it out there. If you have a song you're sitting on that is good and you're just making it different and you're waiting on it, and all it could be different, release it.
Just put it out. Be done with it. Seriously.
Put together a campaign, promote it, figure out where you want it to go. It is like talk to other people to help put a promotional thing together and get it out there and actually see what it is for what it is.
I think another really quick example that's most recent is Taylor Swift's version of, is it Cruel Summer? It's one of her singles right now that's being really played on the radio, but she has a version of it with Ice Baby. And it's like, that's another thing is like somebody might remix it with you, right? Or like that might be a different version along the way that you can do differently, right? It's just another small example that I would just want to throw out there too. So it's like, but you have to put it out first though.
You have a different version with someone featured on or whatnot. And sometimes you might release a song and another artist will hit you up and say, hey, I really love this song. I'd love to feature on and do a different version of it. Or if you don't put it out, they're not going to hear it. I'm not going to maybe be like, I'm inspired to work with you on this song, and because I like just love what it's about it.
Exactly.
That brings opportunities in the future.
Or something really cool is that you find a fan that covered it on YouTube and they covered it in a way that you never thought about before, and then you bring the fan in to work with you on that cover. How cool would that be for the fan? That number one. Then all of a sudden you have people making content for you because it's like, oh, you do listen, right? And not only that, but like I have an opportunity to possibly be able to work with you, and I'm going to put the best version out that I can. And like you start cultivating all this content that's not generated by you, it's generated by your fans. So another really cool kind of like crux in the matter. Because
as we said, a song isn't just the way it sounds. A song is the community around it. It is the emotion of it. It is the way your fans react to it. It is a lot more than just the sound. The recording, mixing, and mastering creates the product, does not create the song.
Absolutely.
The song is a lot more than that. Once you release it, you potentially could have so many opportunities, and that's how you see it for what it is. So now, once again, time to let go. Put it out there. This is your call to action. Release your music.
Let it
go.
I can't because we're gonna get DCMA'd if I start singing it.
And we've talked about a lot of different songs. I'm the one who actually sang a couple, which is not good.
Do you want me to sing? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man, American Idol up in here.
Oh, don't tempt me, brother. I'll do some karaoke. Swear to God. I'll have to have a beer first though. No drinking.
Well, before we get to that,
we'll have a beer too.
We'll spare you one cake. Yes, we have to taste the cake. I might want to rephrase that. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you're now inspired to release your song, please send it to.
Did I say Ice Spice? I meant Ice Baby.
You said Ice Baby.
Okay, good.
You said ice baby, yeah. If you are now
Sorry.
inspired, no, you're fine. Oh man, our endings are fantastic. I was gonna say phenomenal at first.
That
then I
means we
changed
just
it.
could come back and refine it later.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. We're putting it out there.
We don't even follow it.
Well, who knows? Maybe people will like these like trash endings and this
Maybe.
back and forth we do.
Maybe.
We have to put it out there and find out.
Oh.
Well, anyways, if this inspires you to release your song, please let us know and send it to us. We'd love to hear it. You can reach out at podcast@musicmakerscookbook.com and email and just give us a link or something.
Yep. And we're going to tell you to release it when you send it to us. So just know.
Only send it to us if you release it.
Yeah.
Send us,
Yeah.
If we've inspired you to release it, send us the link to it wherever it is, be it Apple Music or Spotify or whatever.
Yep.
Or, DM us on Music Makers Cookbook on any social media platform. And thank you for watching this full episode. Please follow, subscribe, like whatever your platform you're on. It really helps support us and grow the audience. In fact, growing the audience, you can always share it to a musician friend that is also trying to make a living in the music industry. Share some of the recipes that we talk about so you guys can cook up some success together. In fact, collaboration is such a powerful tool in this industry.
It is.
Sharing it, and you can talk about these topics with somebody else and actually be accountable with each other and implement these things. Only win-win for sharing the podcast. Everyone wins here.
Everyone wins.
Everyone wins. Anyways, with that being said, thank you for listening to the whole thing and joining us in our kitchen. Thank you for dining in with us.
Thanks, guys.
Time to get cooking.
Bon appetit.
Woo!